is the most legendary name in cars. Behind the black prancing horse is a man who started from nothing. He built himself in a war-torn Italy. As a teenage orphan, he was meant to become an engineer, but he had to quit school to survive. He would go to build an empire, lose it, and rebuild it in 4 times. His name is Enzo Ferrari. This driver and mechanic became the founder of the century's most iconic racing team, Scuderia Ferrari. Nicknamed the Commander, he triumphed in the world's greatest races. Along the way, he crushed the biggest rivals: Alfa Romeo, Mercedes, Ford, Lamborghini. Visionary, strategic, ruthless. Some say he was ready to sacrifice drivers, others say he was simply ready to do anything. So, how did an Italian child who started with nothing build the most legendary sport car brand in our history? Was he understanding of engines? His relentless management? His burning ambition? Let me tell you the story of Ferrari.
La macchina da corsa per me è come un figlio.
Hey, I'm Nizar. We post stories like this every week. True, dramatic tales from history, sports, and legends. If you enjoyed them, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Enzo Ferrari was born in 1898 in the city of Modena, Italy. At that time, the car industry was still in the early days. Cars were mostly a curiosity for the rich, a luxury out of reach for ordinary people. The roads were made for cars, and seeing a car was a rare event. Enzo's father, Alfredo Ferrari, was a mechanic. From a young age, Enzo was surrounded by machines. He didn't enjoy it. His father wanted him to become an engineer, study, get a diploma, and one day take over the business. But like many teenagers, Enzo hated school. He preferred writing, music, and sport. He dreamed of becoming a sport journalist or even an opera singer. He even started writing for a local newspaper against his father's wishes. Enzo's life was ordinary until 1916, when everything changed. The Spanish flu hit Italy hard, killing Enzo's father. A few months later, his older brother also died. The Ferrari family was left in a desperate situation. Enzo could no longer dream about journalism or opera. He had to quit school and the newspapers to find work quickly. Luckily for him, the First World War was underway. At 18, Enzo joined the Italian army as a mule driver, earning money to support his family. But tragedy struck again. After surviving 2 years of war and preparing to return home, Enzo caught the Spanish flu himself. He suffered greatly, but survived, almost miraculously. However, he had nothing left. No father, no brother, no clear future. To survive, he took a simple, boring job as a delivery driver. But his natural curiosity soon took over. He wanted to understand his vehicle better, and to his surprise, he began to enjoy the field he had once rejected, his father's trade, mechanics. His next step was to join a workshop, where he could improve his skills and be more intellectually stimulated. Along with his growing talent of mechanics, Enzo also fell in love with driving. Gradually, his vision became clear. Enzo would be the best in the world in both mechanics and driving. In 1919, he got a job at a small Italian car manufacturer. He began as a mechanic, but his eyes were already on driver's seat. After 2 years of patience, he finally got his chance. He entered his first race and finished ninth. It wasn't spectacular, but it was a start, enough to attract the attention of a big Italian industry name, Alfa Romeo. At 22, Enzo joined Alfa Romeo as a test driver. At that time, Alfa Romeo dominated the most prestigious races and attracted the best drivers. For Enzo, it was a dream come true. Within a year, he went from a test driver to official driver. However, despite his skills, one thing became clear. Enzo was not a racing prodigy. He discovered his real talent elsewhere, in organization, team management, and mechanics, just like his father. He understood cars better than anyone and knew how to get the best out of his teammates. After 4 years as driver, Alfa Romeo's leader decided to develop his true abilities off the track. At 26, Enzo was put in charge of the racing department. He was no longer just a driver. He was recruiting and training the best people, and even influencing car development. He still raced occasionally, achieving a total of 12 wins for Alfa Romeo. Everything changed again with the birth of his son, Dino. Enzo was overjoyed, but he made the irresistible decision. His career as a driver was over. At that time, many racers didn't survive, and Enzo's worst nightmare was for his son to go through the same risk. From then on, he would excel only as a team director. Under his leadership, Alfa Romeo kept winning, but Enzo was already thinking about the future. He wanted his own team, his own mark in history. Back then, car manufacturers didn't directly run racing teams. They gave cars to independent teams which recruited drivers and competed in races. Enzo wanted Alfa Romeo's car to race under the Ferrari name. In 1929, after months of tough negotiation, he got what he wanted. Scuderia Ferrari was born. For Enzo, the dream continued. On top of his skills as a driver and a mechanic, he also had natural talent for communication. He knew that a strong identity was as important as powerful engines. For his team, he searched for a symbol that could make history. He remembered a moment from his past as a driver after one of his races. Countess Pauline Baracca approached him and gave him a keychain. "Portalo fortuna," she said. "It will bring you luck." The keychain carried the emblem of her son, Francesco Baracca, an Italian Air Force hero who had died in combat. It was a black prancing horse painted proudly on the side of his plane. Enzo realized this was the perfect identity for his team. He adopted the horse for Scuderia Ferrari and added a yellow background as a tribute to Modena, his hometown. This is how one of the most legendary logos in history was born. Scuderia Ferrari quickly became Italian top racing team, attracting the best driver and engineers, and competing with Bugatti, Maserati, and Mercedes. In 1937, Alfa Romeo, worried about Enzo's growing power, took back control of the team. In 1939, Enzo left Alfa Romeo, losing his team and the right to use his name in racing for 4 years. He founded Auto Avio Costruzione, planning to build his own cars. However, World War II stopped all racing. His factories were bombed several times, forcing him to rebuild. After the war, with Italy in wins, Enzo anticipated the return of racing. In 1947, he launched the Ferrari 125S, the first true Ferrari powered by a V12 engine. It won its debut race, the Rome Grand Prix, leading to more victories in major events like the Mille Miglia and Le Mans. But racing was expensive, and Ferrari's financing were unstable. Despite his reluctance, Enzo began producing luxury road cars, starting with the 166 Inter to found his team. This move secured Scuderia Ferrari's future. In 1950, Formula One began. Ferrari won its first F1 race in 1951 against Alfa Romeo. Enzo planned for his son Dino to take over, but Dino fell ill with a race disease and died in 1956, leaving Enzo devastated. In 1957, tragedy struck again when a Ferrari crash at Mille Miglia killed 11 people, leading to a long legal battle that damaged Enzo's reputation. In 1960s, Ford wanted to buy Ferrari to gain its racing expertise. Enzo was initially interested, but on the day of signing, he discovered Ford would also take control of Scuderia. Feeling betrayed, he tore up the contract and threw Ford's representatives out. Humiliated, Henry Ford launched a mission to defeat Ferrari at Le Mans, creating the Ford GT40. After 3 failed attempts, Ford won in 1967 and dominated endurance racing until 1969, leaving Ferrari financially and competitively weakened. Refusing to sell to Ford, Enzo sold 50% of Ferrari to Fiat in 1969, and during the brand stayed in Italy, with Fiat's backing, Ferrari returned to success, winning world title with Niki Lauda in 1975 and 1977, despite a near-fatal crash in 1976. However, fights brought changes Enzo disliked, including smaller engines and shared parts, which upset brewers. In the late 1970s and 1980s, McLaren, Williams, and Renault outpassed Ferrari in Formula One. In 1982, Ferrari suffered the loss of the driver Gilles Villeneuve, a fan favorite. Old and tired, Enzo focused on creating iconic road cars, such as Daytona, Testarossa, and his final masterpiece, the F40 in 1987, the fastest road Ferrari of its time. Enzo Ferrari died in 14 August 1988. 3 weeks later, Ferrari won the Italian Grand Prix at Monza, a symbolic farewell to a legend. When Enzo Ferrari died in 1988, many thought it was the end of an era. Instead, his death boosted the brand's legend, creating a collector car bubble in the early 90s. On track, Ferrari struggled against McLaren and Williams until Michael Schumacher joined in 96. After near misses, he led the team to its first constructors' title in 15 years, and 5 consecutive driver titles from 2000 to 2004. Rule changes in 2005 ended this dominance. Kimi Raikkonen won the title, but the following years saw Red Bull then Mercedes take control. Since 2001, Ferrari has focused on young drivers, Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, and in 2025 signed 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton to chase a new title. Financially, Ferrari became independent from Fiat in 2015 and listed on the New York Stock Exchange, achieving high growth and a valuation above $70 million. The brand maintains exclusivity by producing only about 15,000 cars a year, enforcing strict ownership rules and keeping production in Maranello under Vice President Piero Ferrari. Looking ahead, Ferrari faces the challenge of the EU's 2035 ban on the new combustion cars, pushing the brand to innovate while perceiving the unique spirit of the engines. Today, Ferrari is adapting to a changing automotive world, with hybrid models like SF90 and 296 GTB, and will soon unveil its first fully electric car. The brand is exploring solutions like synthetic fuels to create its iconic engine sound in an eco-friendly way. This shift has fueled demand to a classic gasoline Ferraris, the ultra-rare 250 GTO, with only 36 units produced, sold for $18,000 in the 90s, about $190,000 today, but recently set a record at $51.7 million. More recent icons like the F40, the last supercar overseen by Enzo Ferrari, has risen from €130,000 at launch in 1987 to over $2.5 million today. Ferrari has achieved the rare feat of cars increasing in value after leaving the dealership, a legacy Enzo might not have intended. If you like this kind of stories, we publish new videos every week. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next one.